The world was holding its breath. The echoes of war still reverberated through the streets, and the scars of conflict were etched deeply into the hearts of millions. World War II had just ended, but a new, more insidious conflict was brewing. The devastation left behind was a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for destruction, yet the world was on the brink of another perilous journey. The Cold War, a silent battle of ideologies, technological prowess, and above all, fear. It was a war fought not with bullets and bombs but with espionage, propaganda, and the looming threat of nuclear annihilation. The United States and the Soviet Union, once allies, were now locked in a deadly embrace. Each side viewed the other with suspicion and hostility, their leaders engaged in a high-stakes game of chess where the prize was global dominance. Each sought to outdo the other, to claim dominance over the very forces of nature. The race to develop more advanced weapons and technology became a relentless pursuit, driven by the fear of falling behind. In this climate of paranoia and suspicion, the line between ethical boundaries and desperate measures blurred. Espionage and covert operations became the norm as both sides sought to gain the upper hand by any means necessary. The race for nuclear supremacy had begun. The world watched in horror as both superpowers amassed arsenals capable of wiping out all life on Earth many times over. The United States, driven by the desire to understand the effects of radiation on the human body, embarked on a dark chapter in its history. Scientists conducted experiments that would later be shrouded in controversy and condemnation. It was a chapter marked by secrecy, deceit, and a chilling disregard for human life. The experiments, often conducted without the knowledge or consent of the subjects, left a legacy of suffering and mistrust. The government justified these experiments as necessary evils. They argued that the knowledge gained was crucial for national security and the survival of the nation in the event of a nuclear attack. They claimed it was vital to understand how radiation affected soldiers and civilians in the event of a nuclear attack. The potential benefits, they insisted, outweighed the moral and ethical costs. The survival of the nation, they argued, hinged on acquiring this knowledge. Patriotic fervor and the fear of the unknown were powerful motivators, driving the public to accept these justifications without question. But the truth, as it often does, lay buried beneath layers of classified documents and hushed whispers. The full extent of the experiments and their impact on human lives would only come to light years later, revealing a dark and troubling chapter in history. The Cold War, with its ever-present threat of annihilation, became the breeding ground for a chilling truth. In the pursuit of power, even the most fundamental human rights could be sacrificed. The legacy of this era serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the human cost of the quest for dominance. made in the name of progress. The experiments themselves were as varied as they were horrifying. They spanned across different fields of science, each more disturbing than the last, leaving a trail of suffering and ethical violations in their wake. Pregnant women were given radioactive iron without their knowledge or consent, their unborn children exposed to unimaginable risks. These women who trusted the medical professionals with their lives and the lives of their unborn children were betrayed in the most egregious manner. Soldiers were ordered to stand near ground zero during atomic bomb tests, their bodies subjected to the full force of the blast. These brave men, who had already risked their lives for their country, were used as mere tools in a dangerous game of scientific experimentation. Mental patients, considered disposable by the society that had failed them, were injected with plutonium, their minds and bodies ravaged by the insidious poison. These vulnerable individuals already suffering from mental health issues were further tormented by the very people who were supposed to care for them. Each experiment was a testament to the depths of human cruelty, a stark reminder of what happens when scientific curiosity is allowed to run unchecked. The pursuit of knowledge, when devoid of ethical considerations, can lead to unimaginable horrors. These were not isolated incidents. They were part of a broader pattern of abuse and exploitation, a dark chapter in the history of science and medicine. They were part of a systematic program of human experimentation, sanctioned at the highest levels of government. The complicity of those in power allowed these atrocities to continue unchecked for years. The Atomic Energy Commission, the agency tasked with overseeing the nation's nuclear program, played a key role in funding and approving these experiments. Their involvement highlights the extent to which scientific endeavors were prioritized over human welfare. The victims came from all walks of life. They were ordinary people, unaware of the dangers they were being subjected to. They were prisoners, soldiers, hospital patients, even pregnant women and children. No one was spared from the reach of these unethical experiments. Many of them were deliberately chosen because they were seen as expendable, their voices unlikely to be heard or believed. These marginalized individuals were easy targets for those who sought to advance their scientific agendas at any cost. The legacy of these experiments serves as a grim reminder of the importance of ethical standards in scientific research. It is a call to action for the scientific community to ensure that such atrocities are never repeated. Among the many radioactive substances used in these experiments, plutonium stood out for its deadly potency. Discovered during the Manhattan Project, plutonium was a man-made element forged in the heart of nuclear reactors. It emitted alpha particles, a type of radiation that was particularly damaging to human cells. Plutonium had a long half-life, meaning it remained radioactive for thousands of years. Once it entered the body, it embedded itself in bones and organs, continuing to emit its deadly radiation long after the initial exposure. The scientists conducting these experiments knew full well the dangers of plutonium. They had seen its effects firsthand in animal studies. Yet, they chose to inject this deadly substance into human beings, often without their knowledge or consent. They justified their actions by claiming that the amounts of plutonium used were too small to cause any harm. But the truth was far more sinister. They were playing a dangerous game of Russian roulette with human lives, gambling that the benefits of their research outweighed the risks.